Hi, I'm Chris James, and you're watching Healthy Alternative. Today, I want to talk about the benefits of Michael, and today we're going to be talking about...
Today we'll be making one of my favorite soups.
Welcome to the
Tomato
JR72 Challenge.
I am Animated Mel, and I am your mental and wellness coach for
As always, perfection is not needed, but consistency.
We must first lovingly accept what is. You can't heal a body you can't.
No matter what, you have to put yourself first. If you're not aware that there's change that needs to be made, how can you fix it? This information is fire.
I had to come to the realization that, number one, I was an emotional eater.
We need to accept the decisions that we make, because if we can do that, then we have the power to change them. You came here so that way you can start moving into your heaven path.
Once again, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Hello, hello, hello. Welcome. Okay, we got some comments. You said I'm ready. That's what I like to see. Welcome, everybody. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Stephen Michael. I am a AHA wellness coach. The reason I want to do my little introduction is because recently we have had a lot of new people joining the AHA family, I'll say. And not only are we live on YouTube, we are live on Facebook, as well as X, formerly known as Twitter. So welcome, everybody. Thank you for being here. I promise that you will leave here this evening with some information that you probably have never heard before. And I wanted to ensure that you had some tools, tips, and tricks to help you with your fasting journey. Now, interestingly enough, oh yeah, in the background, hey, listen, if you've never been in one of my lives, I do things a little differently. Now, we're not going to have the music the whole time, but I like to do a little, I do a little monologuing. I've been known to talk a little bit, and, a little something as a background to help with my voice, get you guys all prepared and ready and accepting. The interesting thing is that this is my second live of the new year. And interestingly enough, I was sitting here and I was getting ready, and I felt nervous, which is odd because we do a lot of live videos. But for some reason, I had these nerves. I felt nervous. I felt jittery. And I said, you know what? Maybe it's excitement. There's a lot of fresh energy in the new year, a lot of things happening. And there's a lot of things happening in my own life that I could look at as negative. But New Year's Eve, I reflected, which I hope that you all did a little bit of that, a little bit of reflection. And I took the time to look at the last 5 years of my life and where have I been and where am I now? And there's a couple of things that I've noticed about myself. And sometimes I tend to be very hard on myself because I have not progressed further in my wellness journey as I felt like I should have. But one thing I have done pretty well is I've maintained a lot of my results. So as somebody who has lost over almost 200 pounds and has maintained the significant most of it, I think that when it comes to fasting and maintenance in fasting, or after that process and kind of looking forward into your life, I think that I'm a really good person to talk to in regards to those topics. So this evening, I wanted to talk about the 21-day challenge. So a lot of you already know that it's coming up. A lot of you already signed up, but there's going to be plenty of people that have looking good. I appreciate it. There's going to be plenty of people that this is going to be the first challenge, or maybe they've been on the outskirts and they're like, man, I've heard about these challenges, or they tried one before a year or 2 years ago and they're like, it didn't work, or I just struggled, so like I'm not going to do it again, right? I got something for you today. I got something. So I hope that you all have your pen and paper available, because once again, if you've never been to a Steve and Michael Live, we go to school, we go to class. And one thing that I have changed in my own life, one of my progressions, go back and look at my other old live videos and you'll see the progression and the change. But something that I do is I like to add visuals, because I learned that the more senses that you can stimulate during the teaching process, because I'm a teacher, the more senses you can stimulate, the more information is retained. Where's my music? There it is. I mistimed it a little bit. So what I'm doing is I'm stimulating your eyes, the visual. You get to look at my my smiling face. I'm just joking. But then also your ears, right? There's a reason I do have this soothing music in the background, which we are going to move on from, as well as the visuals that go on screen are designed to keep you engaged. And if you want to take it to the next level, you can also take notes. I hope I can make it, but the difference, I'll be really trying. Is it a 21-day of fast, including prep? I will, to give you a short answer, yes. Well, I'm sorry. Yes, to give you a short answer. But we are going to go through all of that here today. So as we go through this process, if you have questions, of course, just drop them in the chat. I will be doing some reading as well as trying to monitor chat as well. So just bear with me. But I do my little monologue to give people a little extra time to get in. We've probably gone up about 80 people since we started. Also, I know you guys are all in the chat, but if you can do me a favor and please click out of the chat real quick and go click the like button. It is extremely beneficial so that other AHA members will see this video as well. Yeah, tell them. Like, share. If you're not subscribed and you're seeing this, subscribe. When does it start? It begins January 5th. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to be dropping this link to you guys throughout the whole call, because it is about the 21-day challenge. Now, even if you've decided that you're not going to join, that's your own prerogative. I do suggest that you still stay and listen to the information that I have, because number one, it may change your mind about starting. And number two, not only does AHA strive to, of course, promote what we do, any live that you join, no matter if it's a promotional live, my goal, and I know with Chris as well, is to make sure that you leave the live and you have value. You leave and you know more than what you came with. And I think that that's why I had a little bit of nerves today, because I'm going to go over some things that I've never gone over before. And I think that I know there's going to be a lot of questions, so I am going to kind of get into it here. All right, we're almost at 200. All right, we'll go ahead and get started. So let me find this thing here. So what are we talking about today? Oh, we're over 200 now. All right, cool. All right, so what are we talking about today? We are talking about the 21-day fasting challenge, but not just the 21-day fasting challenge, but specifically how to make the 21-day fasting challenge work for you. That specifically is what we're going to be talking about. Now, I am going to give an overview of the challenge in and of itself, and we're going to go over some basic stuff, right? And because there's some questions that are already coming in that I think that I can answer through my presentation. So stick with me. I promise you, I got something for you. But I want to specifically talk about how to make this challenge work for you. Now, when you say how to make this work for you, what do you mean? Well, Stephen, it's the 21-day fast. Wait, just do the 21-day fast. I know, right? That's easier said than done. We listen, and I personally pride myself on having my ear on the pulse, I'll say, right? My thumb on the pulse, my finger on the pulse. I don't know the phrase. But I keep my hand on the pulse of the people. I deal with a lot. I work with a lot of people one-on-one and in small groups as well. And I know what the issues that people are having are. And I'm always working to provide something or come up with something that can help. So through my changes, I have definitely found something that can help. Tell them, Diane, you're going to get a nugget. You're going to get a nugget or two. So once again, make sure that you have your pen and paper available or your phone is available to screenshot, because there are going to be a couple of things that you are probably going to want to keep. I will say this before we get going. Last thing, shameless plug. If you get some value from this video, that you even feel like you can take this information and kind of do this on your own, I would ask you to still join the challenge, right? Number one, to support AHA. But number two, also because even during this process, one of the most beneficial things that you can get, aside from the information, is the community. And if you've never been in a challenge, and I'm not talking about you joined it and you did like 2 days and then you ended up stopping. I'm talking about if you have never like really joined and stuck to it and posted in the chat and posted pictures of your food and actually went through the process and really gave it a try, please try this, because I'm telling you, I've been working and doing this on my own. And this information I'm going to provide you with is not just simply just off the cuff or something that I randomly was like, oh, maybe this will work. No, I promise you this is going to work. Give it a try. So let's go ahead and get into it. Finger on the pulse. There we go. See, I knew you guys had me. Yeah, I keep my finger on the pulse. All right, let's look at my time. 13 minutes in already. Okay. All right. Now that's good, because this isn't a super long presentation, but let me pull this up here real quick for y'all. All right. I got my finger on the pulse. Community is awesome. It sure is, man, because y'all in it. You healed 5 ways with water fasting. Oh, I love that. I love that. I love you guys, your testimonials. Okay. All right. Let me not get excited. Well, I am excited, but let me focus. All right. So making the 21-day fasting challenge work for you, right? How do we make this work for you? Now, if you've gone through the 21-day fasting challenge, and you have successfully completed a full 21 days, and you feel like, you know what, fasting, when I focus in and I want to do things properly, you're going to still learn a lot from this, because I can guarantee I can make this easier for you. And there's a couple little things that you're going to be able to do that will even make it easier for you. So even if you can get through a full 21 days, I can make it easier, right? And if you feel like you have not been able to get through a full 21, let's not even say 21. Maybe you haven't been able to get through 5 or 3 or you're struggling to make it 24 hours, this is going to impact you even more. So, um, nice slide. Hey, thank you, man. I appreciate that. You see the effort. I listen, it took me y'all don't know, man. I worked on this. I worked on this. All of my all of my slides, all anyway. Let's get into it. Right. So making the 21-day fasting challenge work for you. Presented by Stephen Michael. Right. So let's first just give an overview. What is the challenge? So the 21-day challenge is a fasting focused event that AJ hosts that teaches you the fundamentals of preparation, fasting, and refeed. Right. Now, these are three vital parts of any fasting journey, and they should be combined in order to execute a successful fasting period. Now, when I talk about this process or I talk about fasting or anytime that you hear fasting, what we need to do is we need to begin to think of it as a process in totality, right? Which includes preparation, the fasting phase, and the refeed. You do not do two without one without two. You do them all together, right? This is something that we need to make, we need to flip a switch, so to speak, in our mind. So when we're talking about fasting or when you hear fasting, do not simply think, oh, I'm not eating for a specific amount of time. I want you to start thinking about fasting in a 3-step process, and all of them are equally important. Every single process, because if you miss one thing, other things are going to struggle, right? And then if you miss something at the end, you then can go backwards, and some of your work was, I won't say pointless, because no fasting is pointless, but you won't have the success that you feel that you should have had if you don't do certain things right afterwards. So let's kind of go through them a little bit one by one. This first section, first couple of slides, I'm going to go through fairly quickly. I won't say quickly. Let me stop lying, because y'all know me. But I'm going to work to expeditiously move through them a little bit, because I know that there's going to be more questions on the back end, and some of the stuff you guys already know, right? But preparation, a time in which you prepare the body, the mind, and the spirit to undergo a period of time without food. During this time, you need to adjust your diet to ensure an easy transition into fasting. Very simple, high level explanation of preparation. Now, very interestingly enough, as you see in the preparation, I said body, mind, and spirit. All three are important, right? So we don't just need to focus on what we're doing with our physical, but we also need to make sure that we're changing our mind up here. And then also we're making spiritual adjustments and preparations as well. Now, the second phase of this process is the fasting, which is very simply a period of time in which you do not consume food. The focus during this time should be on consuming mental and spiritual foods while your body decreases toxins. So this is not a time where you just simply just want to lay around and do nothing and just lay in the bed and struggle, right? That's not what you want to be doing. If you're struggling during your fasting, there's some things, of course, that are happening, but we'll get into. But during your fasting period, this is actually a time where you should be putting in some work. Maybe not a lot of physical work or exertion, but your mental side and your spiritual side, you need to be consuming during that time, right? And then refeed. After any period of fasting, a very strict diet should be followed in order to mitigate additional weight gain by having fat stores immediately be refilled with fluid and toxins. Now, why is this important? One of the things that we have all experienced, of course, including myself, anyone who has done any kind of fasting has experienced a period of which they will go through fasting. They lost 15 pounds. And then maybe one day, 2 days later, or a week later, they're just eating like, oh, they're back to normal. And then now they've just gained like 7 or 8, 9 pounds or 10, 15 pounds, depending what they've eaten. And they're just like, oh my God, what is happening? This doesn't work. Well, it does work, right? Something that we have to understand about fat stores is that fat stores, what we've been told about them is sort of a myth, right? That we just burn fat. And that's not true. And me and Chris talked about this the other day. I'm not going to get super deep into that because I can talk about that for hours, right? But fat stores are simply that. They are a stored cell inside of the body. Now, when you decrease what is stored inside of the fat cell, which is nutrition, hydration, and toxins, when you decrease them, the fat cell shrinks and then it goes into deep storage, right? Now, when you then begin to increase hydration, right? Or we'll call it inflammation because hydration is partly inflammation as well. But when you begin to increase hydration, toxins, right, and nutrition more than what you're using, well, then the body will just simply, instead of creating a new fat cell, simply open that cell back up for use and it will refill that store very quickly, right? So the body, it doesn't like a whole bunch of extra work. So it doesn't close or just destroy fat cells that have been created. When a fat cell gets to a certain size, it then multiplies and the body makes a new one, right? After you then go through a process of dieting, detox, right, exercise, all these different things, the body doesn't just simply get rid of the fat cell. It simply shrinks it and places it into deep storage. Why? Because it knows that in the future, if you need or it needs to store toxins or excess nutrition again, because we're overeating, it's much easier for it to simply just open that fat cell back up than to create a new one. Now, for us, we don't like that. That doesn't sound good to us, but the body doesn't care. It doesn't want to make extra work for itself because it's trying to do a whole bunch of other things, right? So we have to understand that. And if we understand that, then it helps us think about our refeed and just our food in general, right? Of why we can gain weight so fast after we've lost weight. Well, if you've lost 150, 200 pounds or any kind of large amount of weight before, all of those fat cells that you had previously when you were much larger, you still have them. The body is just simply closing them and has it in deep storage, right? So over time, long term, you absolutely have to make long-term changes to your diet, your exercise regimen in order to maintain your results because you will gain weight faster than someone who has not been the same weight as you because the body has to then create new stores for them versus simply just opening a deep storage cell for you. I hope that makes sense. All right. Preparation. Now, during the 21-day fasting challenge, our preparation is very different than when we normally go through our challenges in preparation. We do a 7-day liver and a 7-day liver and gallbladder flush, as well as the 7-day AJ fasting preparation. So we spend 14 days, 2 full weeks on actual preparation prior to fasting. Preparation is so incredibly important. It's actually more important than your fasting itself, believe it or not. Right now, The Amazing Liver and Gallbladder Flush is the name of a book, and it was created by Andreas Moritz. And we utilize this in order to help prepare the body for fasting. This flush focuses on cleansing the liver and the gallbladder of toxins and bile stones. Why is this important? Why do you not want to skip this step when focusing or looking to do a 21-day fast? The reason that you don't want to skip this step is because the more toxins that you have in the body, as you go through fasting, the body is going to immediately start dumping toxins into your detox pathways. Now, if you have cleaned your liver, which is your master detox organ, and if you've gone through a cleansing process, you're not going to have your liver totally clean after one detox or one liver flush. That doesn't work that way. You got tons and tons of deep storage in your liver. It takes a long time to clean your liver. Anyway, I digress, right? But if you go through the process of getting rid of a lot of those stored toxins that are ready to go prior to fasting, you make it much easier on yourself and your body when you start fasting, right? There's less toxins that are stored that are just ready to be dumped into the bloodstream and into your detox pathways because you're already removing them prior to fasting. It makes it much easier to go into your fasting period. Detoxification and cleansing the body prior to fasting is so incredibly important and powerful. Cleansing your detox pathways, your kidneys, right? Your liver, your gallbladder, your colon, your bowels, all of these things. When you clean them prior to fasting, it makes it infinitely more easier to fast. As I normally do, I'm getting ahead of myself, right? The 7-day AHA prep is carefully crafted to decrease the types and amount of food that we are consuming, slowly decreasing the quantity until we move into a juice fasting phase. Now, the science behind this decrease is ghrelin, which is a hormone that makes us feel hungry in preparation of a meal or around meal times. So the body, or when you feel hunger and you feel that rumbling or that grumbling in your stomach, that's not your body specifically telling you I need energy, which is absolutely a myth. And we think, oh well, my stomach is rumbling, I feel like I have to eat. No, that is just simply your subconscious, right? Which has now been placed in control to tell your endocrine system, right? To now decrease the hormone ghrelin because it is about the time that you normally eat. So it's not telling you that you're hungry. It's actually just it's usually popping up just simply around the times that you normally eat. This is the body just simply being smart. It understands you more than you understand you. It knows that you eat around a very specific time. So it prepares itself for the digestive process, knowing that food is coming. So that's what you are feeling. It is the body preparing itself, and that rumble in the tummy or that stomach gurgling, it's simply just a byproduct of that hormone that is being dumped into the bloodstream, preparing the digestive system for food that is potentially coming. Why is this important to understand? Because as you go through the process of fasting, you're going to feel like, oh my God, my stomach is rumbling. I must be hungry. Maybe I'm doing something bad. No, this is just simply your body telling you, oh, this is around the time that we normally eat. We're getting ready for food. There's no food coming, right? After about 30 minutes, it'll pass. It's important to understand that, right? Because if you sit in it and you're just like, hey, it's okay, I'll get through this. And if you just relax, go outside, take a walk, do something different, you will then realize, wow, you know what? My stomach isn't grumbling anymore. Like, I'm okay. I think that's really important. Yeah, I might be cooked on that detox. Why? Now here's what I think that you're gonna say. No, I won't say you're gonna say something because I don't know. Um, During the liver and gallbladder flush, a lot of times people get a little nervous because they're like, I don't have a gallbladder. Can I still do this flush? Right. And the answer is unequivocally yes. Matter of fact, if you don't have a gallbladder, it's actually more important that you do a liver and gallbladder flush. Why? The liver and the gallbladder work hand in hand. I won't say that they are, we'll call them brothers, right? I was going to say that they're cousins, but really they're like brothers. The liver is the big brother, and the gallbladder is like the baby brother. It's not like me and Chris. We're really close, right? It's not like that. He's like the gallbladder is like the baby brother, and it's almost nestled up under the liver, and its job is really to support the liver, right? And what it does, right? But one of the major jobs of both of them is the creation of bile. Bile is a digestive fluid that the body creates in order for us to primarily help digest fats. That's primarily what it does, but it helps with all digestion, but it's really known for helping digest fats. Now, if you have had your gallbladder removed, what you are doing is you are taking away the support of the little brother, and you are putting more pressure on your liver, which means your liver has to work a lot harder. It has to work much more hard to do its own job. But now it's also taking on the job of the gallbladder that is no longer there. So you're going to have much more buildup in the liver. You'll have more bile stones, and you'll have more toxins in the liver because you don't have the gallbladder supporting it. So the flush is even more important for those of you who do not have a gallbladder, and it's not going to, of course, hurt you or any in any way. That's why you're. I started my fast yesterday. I only intermittent fast for 3 days. Listen, you're good. Hey, listen, Dreamtail, don't worry about it. You're good. You're not cooked. Um, I'm cooked. You're not cooked. Right? Refeed. Slow and steady is what I like to call this. The refeed is the time in which you slowly and steadily reintroduce foods back into your diet. Now, this is well laid out inside of the challenge, and it's likely the one part that most people focus on the least, right, during this challenge, or just in general during fasting. But it's the least part that people focus on, but it is the second most important part of the entire process. Preparing the body is actually number one, which I said earlier. Like I said, I get ahead of myself. I get all excited, right? But preparation prior to fasting is the most important part of the fasting process. The refeeding after you've gone through your fasting is the second most important part of your fasting process. And it's so crazy because we call it fasting, but it's actually the fast is actually the third most important part. They're all important, but it is actually the least important a part, which means you can mess up when you're fasting. There's all these little things you can do, right? You don't got to be perfect. And if you are doing step one, right, and step three very well, which is preparation and refeeding very well, you will have amazing results. But the problem is we focus so much on the fasting, which is actually the most important part of the entire process. And this is why so many of us struggle. Focus on the wrong things, right? It's okay. We're here to make some changes. Now, during this time, it's imperative to focus on strictly refeed, we're talking about strictly whole foods, beginning with juices and broths, slowly moving more into leafy greens, raw or steamed vegetables and fruits, and then finally adding back grains, meats, and dairies if you consume them. Now, a note for meats and dairies, we really want to stay away from those. I'll say dairy is the absolute worst, right? If you still eat meat, there's a couple things that you need to remove, right? I'm not going to ever listen. I'm the type of coach where I'll work with you. Okay. There's a lot of reasons that we don't eat meat. But I'm not going to sit here and villainize people or not give you advice or help based upon your own personal diet at this point. But if you do eat meat, you got to get rid of processed meat. These are your processed, I don't know. I think of Sam's Club like burgers where they're just like frozen. And just years ago, like I remember one time, like my mom got hamburgers and hot dogs, and we were eating them, and they had like gristle in them, and like we were like biting into them. They were grainy, and I'm just like, what is this? Right? You never know what is in there. Right. So a lot of your processed meats, your deli slices, your ham, your hot dogs, all of that type of stuff, you got to get rid of it. It's absolutely garbage. If you are going to eat meat, you need to spend a little bit of extra money and get the best cuts that you can, whole cuts, right? Make sure that it's got got the whole list, right? It's organic, grass fed, grass finished, yada yada yada, the whole list, right? No antibiotics, right? All that stuff. If you're going to have it, okay? But dairy, you got to get rid of dairy. It is the most inflammatory food that you can eat. It is the most inflammatory food that you can eat. Period. It's not up for question or debate. It is the most inflammatory food you can eat. Fried foods are right behind it. Yikes. Even like fried mushrooms, anything like that. Fried foods are this, I believe, the second most inflammatory foods that you can eat. They will blow you up quick. Right. So, but during your refeed process, like I said, I'm just giving you an overview here. When we get into the challenge, you get way more in-depth information about refeed, what to eat. We got it broken down to 7 days, yada yada yada. Right. But I'm just giving you an overview. Right now, during the refeed process, if you do not take your time and you rush to eat foods that you have been craving, your body will absolutely open the store of your fat cells and quickly begin to fill them back up without hesitation. This is exactly what I talked about just a little bit ago, right? If you are immediately eating more and you are storing more nutrition than you're using, if you are gaining inflammation, eating pro-inflammatory foods, and you are doing or consuming things that have a lot of chemicals that are increasing toxins in your body will immediately open those stores back up and it will fill them. It will not just simply keep them closed because the body is smart. It's going to be like, no, we just close these, open them back up, right? Very important. All right. Now, let's start to get into it a little bit. What's the dilemma here? All of that sounds good, Stephen, right? I love everything you said. It sounds good, but where does the problem come into place? Right? Where are you going to get cooked at? As my friend said, right? Here's the dilemma. The 21-day challenge is intimidating. Let's just keep it 100. It's intimidating to sit here and be like, man, I've never gone. I mean, I was doing intermittent fasting, or maybe I've done 3 days and I struggled. 21? It is insanely intimidating, right? Let's just keep it real. It is the longest challenge that we offer as AHA. And in general, we're not talking about just a challenge, but just in general, humans, we struggle to maintain anything new longer than a few weeks. Like it's New Year's, right? It is the third day? It's the second day of New Year. And you have all these people that made all these resolutions. Maybe you did it yourself. By 30 days in, by the end of January, over 75% of people's New Year's resolutions have gone out the window. And if you go to the gym, you know this. If you regularly go to the gym, you know January, early February are the absolute worst times to be in the gym. Why? Because you have so many new people there, and listen, I ain't got nothing against new people in the gym. But when you're used to going, you're used to a routine, right? You know, people move quickly on and off machines, or they're getting their free weights, they're putting weights back, they understand gym etiquette, all these things. And now you have all these new people come in and they don't understand all these things. It can definitely be frustrating, right? But we also understand that, yeah, about mid-February, things start to clear up a little bit. Most people have quit what they're doing in less than 30 days. Right? So we're talking about a challenge that lasts over 30 days long. This is intimidating. And this is one of the reasons that people can struggle. Right? So how can you make it through the challenge successfully? Okay, right? So we've probably all heard that phrase, how do you eat an elephant? Now, I would hope that no one out here is trying to eat elephants, right? But you eat an elephant one bite at a time, very simply. Right. And it's a saying, we're not really eating elephants, right? But you eat an elephant one bite at a time. We got to break this thing down a little bit, right? Now, if you have struggled to fast for any period of time, there's a few reasons why, right? You're not broken. You're not just this person. I can't do it. This person just better than me. They have more willpower. It absolutely has nothing to do with that, believe it or not. There's people that I know that could barely get through. My dad, I mean, he could barely get through 12 hours without eating. And I got him to at least the point where he got to like almost 24 with a smoothie. That was about as far as I got him. But then he quit. But there's other people that I've worked with one-on-one that have never been able to get past 1 day, and I've got them to 3 days, right? But there's reasons. So you're not broken. You're constipated. Huh? Like, Steve, what you mean I'm constipated? I poop every day. What you mean I'm constipated? No, I'm not talking about simply just you pooping. I'm talking about cellular constipation, right? Cells poop just like we do. A cell doesn't sit on a toilet and then have a flush system where poop goes down the toilet, right? It poops inside of you. And then what happens is you have a network of fluids inside of the body called the lymphatic system that goes around the body, and then it picks up cellular waste. Your cellular waste, or your lymphatic system is your sewage system for your body. Just like you poop in a toilet and you have a sewage system where it goes out and it goes into the city and the city cleans it and yada, 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 that's your lymphatic system. Your cells poop. Now imagine if you have a backed up toilet and now you can't flush your toilet. What happens if you have a backed up toilet and you can't flush it, but you still got to use the bathroom? Let's just say you just keep using it in that toilet. You just keep using the toilet. You keep using it, and then you can't poop or you can't flush it. What happens? It starts to build up, right? After a certain amount of time, hopefully you would do something about it. But let's say you don't. Let's say you got used to the smell. Let's just say you got used to living in there. And then now you're pooping in the toilet, and then now it's overflowing off the side of the toilet. And then you keep doing that over and over and over. What begins to happen? You now have this smell, this rancidness, this toxins that have left the toilet or the system or the sewage system where it should be, and it has now started to invade other parts of the body or your house. It's now gone onto your carpet in your hallway, right? And then over time, it's now going down the stairs because you just can't stop pooping. You got to do it, right? If you don't deal with the constipation, if you don't deal with the sewage system, then you're going to continuously have a problem, right? Now, the reason that you can't fast or you may be struggling to fast is because fasting is the cleaner. It gives the body the energy and the space to actually clean itself. Now, as you are going through the process of fasting and you're going through the process of cleaning yourself, imagine you have these cleaners come into your house and they have to now quarantine things off. Hey, listen, you can't come up, you can't use these stairs. We got to rip the carpet up, right? There's all these things that we now have to do because we need to, first of all, clean up the area so we can even get to the toilet to now work on the sewage system, right? So when you're fasting, what you're trying to do is you are trying to clean the constipation, you're trying to clean the system. But if you've never done any detoxing prior to fasting because you're constipated, you essentially have all this poop all over the place. And as soon as you start fasting, your body's like, oh my God, we can now get rid of all this mess. And it immediately starts dumping everything into its elimination pathways in high amounts, super high amounts, right? So this is why you get these crazy detox symptoms. You get headaches immediately. Some people start getting headaches 10 hours if they haven't eaten, start getting headaches, right? And let's say you don't drink coffee or caffeine or soda and you start getting headaches 10 hours after not eating. Oh, you got toxins all in you. So your body immediately wants to start removing these things and it dumps it as fast as possible, right? So you're constipated. So there's things that we need to do. We have to do some detoxing prior to fasting so that way we don't have to worry about cleaning up that bathroom. Are you following me? And the body can simply just work on the toilet in and of itself, right? So now we go through a process of doing some things on our own to kind of help the body, right? So that way when we start actually fasting, it doesn't have to clean the whole house and have to rip up the carpet and the bathroom. It can just focus on the toilet, right? So you're constipated. This detox symptom or these detox symptoms, right? They make people quit sooner than preferred. They didn't want to quit, but it makes them quit sooner than they wanted to because it's just too much. And you know it's detox because as soon as you eat, you're like, oh, I feel better now, right? And then not only do you feel better, you also feel guilty because you're like, man, I wasn't even that hungry. I probably could have kept fasting, right? It wasn't actually hunger. It was detox, right? So the second one of the other things, there's a bunch of them, but there's three big ones here, right? Lack of proper preparation. Many times we tend to get really excited about the benefits of fasting and what it can do, and we just want to start, right? Got a lot of zeal and we just want to get started. Now, understand that this is a trap. It's not anyone's fault. It's nothing that anyone does intentionally. No one's purposefully working you up to try to get you to start something so that you fail. It's just simply in our nature. We see positive results from other people. You may have been sitting there, and so in the person in the chat earlier, the lady said that she healed fibroids with fasting. You may have read that and been like, "Oh my God, that sounds amazing! I have fibroids. I want to heal them with fasting." and you want to just start. You got excited. There's a fire that was lit underneath of you. There's nothing wrong with that. Keep that. But we need to direct that fire, right? We need to make sure that we have proper preparation, right? We want to maintain that excitement, but we want to also make sure that we're going through the full steep 3-step process, which includes the preparation, the fasting, and the refeeding, right? This is why the challenges and coaching and all these things are beneficial, because we can help you to take that energy and that excitement and help you to channel it, right? Because if you don't really know what you're doing, you may make some mistakes, and that will lead you to having to clean up the bathroom and rip up the carpet. I hope this makes sense. And that will lead you to ending your fast earlier than you expected. Let me take a look here. Oh, I'm on fire. Oh, the explanations are awesome. Okay, I had to just check, make sure that this is making sense. All right, good deal. All right, we're good. Oh, look at the chat numbers. The numbers are going up. We got a lot of people live. All right, I love y'all, man. Let's keep going. I'm excited. All right? Nerves are gone. They've been gone, but Misalign Focus. Now, we've been trained to focus on outcome-based goals and habits. Now, you guys know that as of recent, this has been my baby, this topic of conversation, and it is going to be very difficult for me to not really dive into this. I just did a live in our Pam call yesterday, which I really got deep into this a little bit more. But just in the interest of time, I don't have the chance. But if this section sounds really good to you, then understand that a lot of this is what I talk about personally, and we're going to be talking a lot about identity inside of the challenge as well. You're gonna hear about it all the time. You're gonna be like, oh, I'm sick of Stephen talking about my identity. That's fine. That's perfect, because I now understand something that maybe you don't quite know yet, and it's okay. But I want to teach you, because it's something that you're going to run into in the future, and it's better if you learn it now and you can work on it now than struggle in the future, right? So once again, Misalign Focus. We have been trained to focus on outcome-based goals and habits, right? Just to put a little note on this, a sticky note, that's not bad. But just understand that that's the way that we've been trained. This is the way that we've lived almost our entire lives. So when something goes wrong and the outcome is negatively impacted, we give up. We've all done this before. It doesn't matter what it is, right? Let's just say that you said that, oh, I'm going to change my diet. I'm going to try this diet. I'm going to go Mediterranean. Let's say that you eat a normal diet and you're like, I'm going to try carnivore. I'm going to try keto. And then all of a sudden a weekend comes up. Let's say you did great for 2-3 weeks. Weekend comes up, you go out with the girls, right? Go out with the homies. You know what I'm saying? Things happen. You have some pizza. That ain't on the keto menu, right? Then all of a sudden, a week later, you realize, man, what happened to keto? Right? You have a little mess up and you're just like, man, you know what? This wasn't working anyway. We just then start to wrap our mind around it. And then you have the ego that pops into our mind. It's like, yeah, you know what? It wasn't working anyway. Don't even worry about it. We'll just continue to do what we've been doing. Once again, getting ahead of myself, right? But we've been trained in ways that keep us stuck, right? So instead, what we need to do is we need to focus on identity-based habits, right? Seeing the process as a way to learn to live a healthier lifestyle and have the expectation that you will mess up with an exact plan of what to do if that happens. That part is so very important. I'm going to read it again. Maybe not read it, but I'm going to put it, I'm going to change the words because I feel something. You have your outcome-based habits. Your outcome-based habits or your outcome-based goals are simply this. I am making this change because I want a specific outcome. Once again, there's nothing wrong with that, okay? But as we understand, if something happens and derails us, then our whole progress is derailed in our minds. We feel like, well, you know what, things didn't work out. Maybe it's not in the cards right now. I'll try it again later. Or let's say on a positive note, whatever the goal was, maybe it was 30 pounds, 40 pounds, whatever. Maybe you wanted to be able to lift 135 pounds of bench press, squat 225, whatever the case may be, whatever it is, when you hit that goal And you're like, yeah, I hit that goal. I've been working so hard for it. It's then like, well, now what? Right? Everything that you've been focused on is to get a specific outcome. Most of the time, let's be 100% honest, most of the time the goals we set, we don't hit. It's just 100%. It's just the truth, right? Now, there are things that, of course, we do set as goals that we do hit. But a lot of the things in general, as people, when we set goals, we don't hit them. Why? Because when a hardship comes up, it knocks us off track. We stop thinking about it. And then when we stop thinking about things that we have now set as outcome based goals, we then fall back into our old habits, right? Whatever has been comfortable for us, whatever we have been doing for the last 20, 30, 40, 50 years, that's what we will revert back to and continue to do. So when we're talking about outcome based habits, right? We have to start looking at things for an outcome and start looking to do things because it's simply just who we are or who we want to become. The reason that we hear the term, I'm not doing this just to lose weight, I'm doing this as a lifestyle. The reason it does not actually happen is because you may say it with your mouth that you want it to be a lifestyle, but what you're actually doing is doing things for an outcome. So if you want something to become a lifestyle, well, then you have to make it part of your identity or who you genuinely are. We're not fasting anymore simply just because we want a specific outcome or we want to lose 100 pounds. There's nothing wrong with losing 100 pounds, right? But now we need to start thinking about going through fasting and changing our diet because now that's just simply the person that we are, right? You don't have to, if you go to the gym, you don't have to you can look at somebody and tell they spend a lot of time here. You can see it all on them, right? You can see, I was in the grocery store the other day and I saw this guy and he had come from the gym. He's been working out for a while, very much in shape. And he's over in the produce section. I'm in the produce section as well. Of course, we're eating good, right? But he's in the produce section and he's looking at the fruits. He's turning them over, right? And then I think it was apples. Then he went over, he put some apples in a bag. Then he went to the sweet potatoes, right? He looked at them, made sure they were good. Then he went and got cucumbers. I was watching him, right? You don't have to ask him what his identity is. You don't have to ask him what he values. You see it. It's just leaking all over him, right? And he's been doing it for a while, so he has outcomes. He doesn't focus on getting a specific outcome. He focuses on just making this his lifestyle. And that's where we have been going wrong. We're focused on outcomes and we need to be focused on simply just doing things because that's now just who we are. Now, when you start doing things because now you understand that I'm in a process of learning, of changing my life, if you have a mistake while you're fasting and you eat one day, or you had some chocolate at 2:00 in the morning because you're fasting, you got fasting insomnia, and you can't sleep, you're not going to beat yourself up as much because you know that you're in a transition. And these things are to be expected. But when you have a specific goal and you put this number on your weight, lose 30 pounds during that challenge, which means I need to lose X amount every single day, yada, yada, yada. And when you put that pressure on yourself and you make a mistake, you're going to feel guilty. And if you don't have positive coping mechanisms to manage that guilt anyway, which you probably don't, what are you going to do? You're going to automatically revert to coping mechanisms that you've been using for the last 20, 30, 40, 50 years, which is probably food. And these are not going to be foods that are beneficial, right? So we need to go into this understanding that there are going to be mistakes and it's okay. And it should be expected, right? But not only do we do that, we need to ensure that we, once again, have a plan in place, or we need to simply just make some adjustments so that way we can just get some small wins under our belt, right? So that's what this is all about. It's about making some adjustments to get some small wins under your belt. So if you have been struggling to get through any long periods of fasting, this is the part where you really want to listen up even more. But before we get to that, we have a quick word from our sponsor, which is Stephen Michael. For those of you who may know, but maybe a lot of you probably don't, I have put together a fasting identity guide. It has just released as of yesterday, and there are limited copies that are available during this first run. If that last monologue about identity piqued your interest and it sounded good to you, I would encourage you to go to the link in the description and grab a fasting identity guide. They're extremely affordable, and there are sections in the book where you are going to actually write out specific things that you are doing on fasting days, including activity levels, hydration, right? You get to basically track everything that you're doing. So that way you can look back on it, where your mindset was, what were you feeling, what were your detox symptoms. And this is really good because there are going to be days where you're fasting and you're like, man, I don't even feel like I'm making any progress. But then you can flip back to your notebook and you can see where you were 8 days ago, and you were experiencing crazy headaches and you were vomiting. And when you were standing up, you got dizzy. But now all of a sudden, there's a little bit of low level hunger, but really you kind of just feel bored, right? But you're not actually experiencing crazy detox symptoms. And when you have it all in one good, solid place, you're like, you know what? I'm tripping. Based upon how I did feel, I feel so much better. Not only that, you got 3 QR codes in the back of the book that are going to have videos that are specifically about your identity. So if you want more information about your identity, of course, that's in there as well. And there's also 30 essay prompts that are going to assist you in helping to learn more about yourself and your identity. So, you bought your book already? Okay, great. Oh, yeah, D. I appreciate that. Right. So if that sounded good to you, go ahead and grab your book. Man, they're $15. I made them extremely affordable because I want to get them in hands. I want some feedback. And this is a Stephen Michael original. So check it out. The link is in the description. And yeah, appreciate it. All right. So now that we had a word from our sponsor, which I'm the sponsor. Bleeding gums are a detox symptom. It comes from inflammation. And unfortunately, it's something to be expected. I had really sensitive gums when I was younger. And every time I brushed my teeth, my gums would bleed. But it's inflammation. So as you go through fasting, if you are experiencing bleeding gums, understand that you are removing inflammation. But yeah, it'll get better. I promise you. My gums don't bleed like ever at all anymore. All right, Brandy, I got mine. I appreciate that. All right. Dang, all right, man, we're falling behind. All right, let's keep it moving. Sponsors over. All right, so what's the solution? Right now, this is something that if you haven't taken any notes before, the next 2 slides, you definitely want to take notes or screenshot. These are for you guys. All right, but here's what you're going to do. If you are like, you know what, Stephen, this all sounds good, and I want to go through this process. I don't think I can do 21 days straight. This is for you. I'm going to give you a step-by-step exactly what to do, right? With recipes after this, I'm going to tell you exactly what to do. Number 1, during the liver and gallbladder flush and the AHA prep, you're going to do that preparation. It's super simple, believe it or not. All you're going to be doing is drinking a little bit of apple juice or a little bit of tart cranberry every day for the first 5 days. On the 6th day, you do your actual flush. It's super simple, right? The more important part of it is you're eating during that time. Now, what you're going to do is you are going to eat a cabbage-based salad for lunch with stewed vegetables and stewed fruits for dinner. Before you freak out, I got you. I already know where your mind's at. I got you. Now, this salad is based on the mucusless diet, which is something that I would suggest that you all begin to look into. AHA will be talking about it a lot more in the future, but I wanted to go ahead and break the seal and start giving you some information. But the salad is based on the mucusless diet, right? Now, this will automatically begin to detox the bowels and open the detox pathways. This is why I spent so much time earlier in the beginning of this call to explain why detox prior to fasting is important. I'm going to give you a recipe for this salad, but it is extremely important, and you immediately will start detoxing your bowels and you will start expelling mucus all throughout your body. This is going to make your fasting so much easier. Trust me. right? Step 2, every other day, if possible. Some of you are not going to like this, right? You want to do a lemon water enema, right? Now, this is going to further clean the bowels and remove obstructions that make fasting so difficult. One of the things that makes fasting difficult is that toxins, of course, get removed, but one of your major elimination pathways are your bowels. And when your bowels become, I won't say obstructed, but when they're not moving fast or they're moving slow and you have sedentary poop that is just sitting there, sometimes that can get reabsorbed back into your body, which can make you feel very ill during fasting. It also can make the detox symptoms almost unbearable for some people. So, one of the things that we've suggested over the years is if you are experiencing detox symptoms that are already too intense during periods of fasting, you need to do an enema, right? But what I'm suggesting to you is from day one, not just during fasting, but from day one of you starting preparation and you're eating the way I'm explaining to you every other day, do a lemon water enema, right? What you would simply do is you would get water, you would fill up your enema bucket or your enema bag. I'm not going to get into all that right now. You're going to have to put a little work into this and do a little research, right? Super simple stuff. But then you're going to squeeze out about a half a lemon to start. After you get about a week or so in of doing these, you can do a full lemon, strain it. If you don't strain it, then it's going to be even more intense, which, hey, for some people that's cool. But strain it, and then you do your lemon water enema, right? Every other day. Step 3, in order to make the 21 work for you, or if you struggled with 1 to 2 days, what we're going to do is we're going to do the challenge one bite at a time. Y'all see how I put that together? Just like an elephant. How do we eat an elephant? One bite at a time. The 21-day fasting challenge can be very intimidating and can be like that elephant. So we're going to eat the challenge one bite at a time, right? Because why? We're not focused on a specific outcome. We're focused on actually changing the core of who we are and learning the process. It's very difficult to learn the actual process and successful fasting if you don't get through it, right? People think, oh, I know how to fast. Okay, what's the longest fast you've done? 3 days. You don't know how to fast. It's as plain and simple as that. I've done 65 days of fasting. That was juice fasting. 30 days of water fasting, 10 days dry fasting. I know how to fast, right? I'm not saying that to puff my chest out or anything like that, but if you only gone through 3 days, hey, maybe there's some things that you're missing, right? So, man, I done got all spirits start taking over, right? Anyway, at the beginning of your first fasting day, do not focus on the 21 days, right? We're not focused on that. If you can't get 3 days, we're not focused on 21. We need to eat this one bite at a time, okay? So your goal will be to accomplish 1 to 2 days, depending on how you feel. After completing 1 to 2 days, you will ensure that you're going to eat your salad and your stewed vegetables that day as your refeed, and then you're going to begin a 3-day fast the next day, right? Don't worry. I know. I got you on the next page. I got a schedule for you. I told you I got you guys, right? Just listen here. Now, after 3 days, right, you will do a 2-day refeed with the same foods. So yes, this may get a little boring for the first 2 weeks, right? While you're doing your preparation or doing this whole process, it may get a little boring, right? But you're going to do the same thing with the same foods. Then you're going to do a 5-day water fast. You then will do a 2-day refeed, and then you're going to begin a 6 to 7-day water fast. Now, I do these little, I do 6 to 7 because everyone's a little different. This is going to put you at 21 days of a process, not 21 actual days of fasting, but it's 21 days. But you are going to be going through a process where you are getting small wins under your belt. And as you go through the process, you can adjust, because I promise you, and I've not just only tested it with myself, I've also now tested this with clients. You will find yourself actually having a hard time eating on refeed days because you're like, I'm just not hungry. And you will move into your fasting the easiest that you have ever fasted before in your life if you do these steps. They're so simple, but I promise you they work, right? Now, this is done for a few reasons. If we know that fasting has been hard, let's focus on getting small wins under our belt, right? We're not focused on the outcome based goal, simply completing the 21 days and hitting a specific number, even though there's nothing wrong with that. But if we're struggling to get through a few days, that doesn't need to be our goal, right? We just need to be focused on learning the process and getting some small wins under our belt, teaching ourselves we can do this. If you tried fasting one time and you struggled the first day, yeah, you're automatically thinking, oh, I can never do that. So what we need to do is we need to build ourselves up and understand, no, you can do this. And if you do this the way that I am going to outline or way I've been outlining, I promise you, you will build small wins. You're going to be like, you know what? This is so much easier than I expected, right? So we're focused on learning how to eat and also how to properly fast and refeed in a structured space in order to create a new identity for ourselves, right? And making lifelong changes because we're not simply just focused on the number, even though the number is going to be good. I promise you, if you focus on changing your diet and then you simply just add in a few fasting days in a week, just simply because that's now just who you are, in a year or so, you're going to be down 80, 90 pounds simply because you have just made changes, not because you want to lose a certain amount of weight, but because now you want to just change your life. There's a very big difference, and I keep repeating in this way and in different ways because I want you to wrap your mind around that, right? Step 4, stop focusing on weight loss specifically because you can't control it. You can't control what your body does, right? There's times where I get questions like, Steven, I want to lose 20 pounds in 10 days. Can I do that? I don't know. Can you? Right? I mean, I can give you some statistics, some numbers. I can give you some guides, right? And you can do everything right. You can do a 10-day dry fast and you may not lose 20 pounds. I mean, I would be very surprised, but it can definitely happen. So why are we focused on something that we can't even control? You can't control that number. So why are we focused on it? So what can we control? The best thing that you can do is eat well and fast and let the body do the rest. Why are we putting so much time and intention and saying, I need to lose this amount of weight, but we can't even control it? It doesn't even make sense, right? So let's put our focus and time and intention on things we can control, which is the way that we eat and the timing of which we fast. And if we just do those things, then the body will take care of itself, right? Focus on adjusting your mindset and the body will automatically change. Let ego go, because you're not in control of the changes like you may think. You think you're in control of certain things and you're really not, right? Focus on what you can change, not necessarily just what you want to change, because there is a difference. Can't too much lemon juice break your fast? No. But here's the thing also. First of all, I mean, you would have to be drinking a lot of lemon juice. But we're not, but in this instance of what I'm talking about, we're talking about doing enemas. But I also have no issues with doing of adding a little bit of lemon to your water while you're fasting as well. Let me put it like this. Let's keep it. I try to keep it honest, and once again, I deal with a lot of people. My goal is to meet you where you're at. If you are struggling to get through 1 to 3 days of just water, my goal is not to hammer you and have to be perfect. My goal is to assist you to be able to get to 5 or to get to 10 or 14 or 21, right? And there's a multitude of different ways that we do that. Sometimes it's adding juice, whether it be a green juice or a fruit juice. Sometimes it's celery juice. Sometimes it's lemon water. Whatever we need to do, because I can say this, 5 days of adding a little bit of juice to your fasting is better than doing 1 day of just pure water, because you're like, I can only do pure water. Well, 5 days of adding juice is better than doing 1 day of pure water, right? But my goal is once again to meet people where they're at. Um, I hope that answers that. I mean, I know it wasn't a question, but I wanted to respond to it, right? Now, here's another part where you probably want to screenshot because like I said, I put the schedule here for you guys, which is the top right. So it's a sample plan and recipes. So if that sounds good, what I just talked about, and you're like, you know what? I think that's the route I need to go. I want to try that route because I tried the 21 before and it didn't work. I tried the R72 and I just couldn't do it. Try this, right? Now, in the 21-day fasting challenge, we teach 21 days fasting, right? That's what the group does. I am giving you something to help it work for you. I would rather you join and give you a modification to allow you to get massive success. Because if you do this, you're going to have massive success. You may still end up losing 30 pounds or more, truthfully, right? But you're going to have massive success. You're going to leave with so much more confidence. And then not only that, you're going to be like, you know what? I'm going to just continue what I've been doing. And then you will then leave the 21-day challenge and you'll continue into February and March. And you're going to keep going through this process. And you're going to keep losing weight. Why? Because it's not a focus on just the number, but you're focused on changing who you are. So you have your schedule here. You do your 2 days fasting, then you do your refeed, right? Now, when you do your refeed through the entire schedule, this is what you're going to eat. Now, there are other things that you can have, but obviously just in the interest of time and in this space, I gave you a very clear list, guideline of what to have. In the 21, we'll probably go over this a little bit more, or if you have other questions or, right, you can always schedule a call or you can reach out. I'll help you out. But let's say that you're just like, I wanted some value. I'm not joining the challenge. This is what you get. But this is all you need. And this is powerful, right? So you have your mucusless cabbage salad. Now I like to make a little bit more and I do like my little meal prep. So I have like, I make a little bit more than what this says. For example, I use instead of half a head of shredded raw cabbage, I use a whole head. I just shred the whole thing. And I'm in the kitchen for about an hour, just chopping everything up, shredding stuff. You know, I'm just listening to music, got YouTube playing or whatever. You know what I'm saying? I'm meal prepping. And this lasts in your fridge for like over a week. It's great because it's raw, right? But you got your cabbage, you got your chopped apples. Last time I did shredded apples, so I actually ran them through my little shredder thing. Carrots, celery, green and black olives, right? This is optional because you really don't want to put a lot of salt in this. So the olives are great to add a little bit of saltiness, right? There are some seasonings that you can use if you want to use olive or not olive. You want to use a little garlic powder or something, you know what I'm saying? You can season, just don't go crazy, especially not with salt during this process, right? Because we're looking at removing inflammation and salt is a preservative. So it helps to maintain inflammation. So we want to actually use as little salt as possible. So olives are great, right? You got your raisins, little dates, your bell peppers, diced green onions, a little bit of fresh garlic, and you got your lemon juice, right? Now, when you do your steamed stewed vegetables, right here in the middle, you got 1 skinless cucumber, 2 diced Roma tomatoes, about 1/4 of a sweet onion. And me personally, I like to get a little kinky sometimes. I throw a couple collard green leaves in there, dice them up real good. And you're going to use a little bit of water. So you're not going to boil them, right? Like in a ton of water. You're really going to just use a little bit of water and you're going to just let them stew, right? You don't want to cook them on really high heat, but you do want to have them start to break down a little bit. And they're just going to, I won't say turn to mush, but you're really going to, you're stewing them. Right. And then what you're going to do is you're going to put that on top of your salad. And then that's your meal. Right. You're going to eat that for your lunch. Okay. You have your sample meal schedule down there at the bottom. So it'll tell you what to eat. Right. Then you have in the evening, you have your stewed fruits. Now you're going to take 2 apples. You're going to peel them. You're going to put them in a little bit of water. I like to use prunes, or I also have Turkish apricots as well, but I found that I like prunes because when you stew them all together, it really helps bring a little bit of sweetness to things. Throw a little bit of cinnamon and nutmeg in there if you want to, right? And just stew them. Just let them rock. Just on, just a nice medium heat, put a top on a lid and just let them just do their thing. They don't have to be super mushy, but allow them to just kind of do their thing. Why do we do that? Now, that is done because we want to have the prunes, right, and the apples for very specific reasons. Apples are fantastic for the liver. They're extremely hydrating to the liver and they help flush the liver. Once again, back to the liver being the master detox organ. The prunes are fantastic for helping to move the bowels. So during this process, we're moving the bowels by what we're eating, but we're also moving. So you have the cabbage, which does a great job of adding roughage and fiber, right? And what that does is helps scrape off the bowels. And then you have your enemas that assist with cleaning out not only just the entire colon system, right? But then you also have your stewed fruits, like your prunes, that really help clean out the small intestine. So it helps to move things much more quickly. Prunes are the fastest, have the fastest bowel transit speed of any food. So prunes move through you very quickly, and they will allow your body to create bowel movements faster. So this is good. This is what we want, especially when we're fasting. We want bowel movements to move fast when we're doing like our refeeds. So this is it, right? Do not eat breakfast. If you're hungry, you can have a juice or a berry smoothie until you get used to things. But after a few days, maybe a week, you'll get used to not eating breakfast, right? For lunch, you're going to have your cabbage salad with some stewed vegetables on top. And then for dinner, you're going to have half and half. So however much you make, there's no, everyone's hunger level is a little bit different. Half of your stewed fruits, and then you're going to do half of some applesauce or of a ripe mashed banana. And that's it. That's what you're going to eat. Now, I will say one last thing that I did not put here, but you can do. If you're really hungry after your salad and it's before dinner, if you really want something, you can have a little bit of like steamed sweet potato. You can bake them as well. Just don't no butter and all that stuff, right? You're pretty much eating them plain. Sometimes I do a little bit of honey. I did that on New Year's. Put a little bit of honey on mine. Y'all know I like my hot honey. But if you really want something, you feel like you really need something after you've eaten, you can do another a sweet potato, right? So that's it. That is the way that you're going to go through this process, right? Now, if you struggled before in the past, I would highly suggest you try the suggestions that I've made. Right? Can all this be done on your own? Absolutely. Once again, can you do it on your own? Do you need us? Do you need the coaches? Do you need the 21 day? No, you don't. Right? But you could also ensure you do things properly by joining the 21 day fasting challenge. Right? You have direct access to me as a coach, not only in the challenge, but if you just want to message me, then, and I know you're in the challenge, I got you. I am your coach during this time as well. I'm one of your coaches. So you don't have to necessarily sign up for a coaching session. Now, if you have a whole conversation that you need to have, that's a different topic. But if you just have a question or you're like, hey, Steven, I'm following this plan, right? I have a question. I got you. All right. Now, stop focusing on outcomes and focus on making changes because it's who you are working to be. There's a vital difference between trying to transplant who you are into a new body with less weight and making changes to the core of the person of which who you are. Let me say that again. There's a core difference between trying to transplant who you are into a body with less weight and making changes to the core of the person that you are. So many times what is happening is that we are trying to just take this brain and this mindset and put it into a body that's 110 pounds less, that has more muscle definition, right? It doesn't work that way. You have to change the mind, especially if you want long-term change and you want to maintain your results. Do not let ego tell you or get in yourself and say, I've tried this before and it didn't work. I can do this on my own. It's another trap, right? Yes, the ego is trying to trap you. The ego is designed to protect you from outside threats. It is designed to protect you from you, and it's designed to protect you from change. The mind and all encompassing parts of it do not like change. So there will be tricks that you will play on yourself, unbeknownst to you, that are designed to keep you exactly where you are, right? 5 days of fasting more than pays for the challenge itself. I like to say that every day of fasting is worth $20 easily. Just literally think about what you spend in a day on food. And everyone's a little different, right? If you're going to work every day and you're eating out every day, and then you're coming home, and then some nights you order out, or depending on what you're cooking, it's easily worth $20 a day. So if you can take this information and if you can get through 5 days of fasting, you've paid for your challenge and money saved. It's more than worth it. So don't delay. Join today. Use these steps that I have outlined here. If you struggle, if you feel like you need a little bit of help, use these steps. If you got any questions, of course, and you join the challenge, reach out. Let me know. I can assist you. If you guys like hearing more about identity, and the information that you've heard thus far sounds great when it comes to identity, make sure that you go ahead and grab you one of those identity fasting guides. Once again, they are limited run, so they will sell out before the end of the challenge. Guaranteed. They're already moving, so make sure you grab one of those. It'll benefit you in a lot of different ways, now and in the future. Wink, wink. Right? If you get one now, the voice change. Um, I think that Steven came back because prior you had enlightened Steven that was teaching. This is regular Steven. Um, how does one join the challenge? Do we simply say we're in, or is there no, no, no? Yeah, there's I posted a link inside of the chat. And if there is not a link in the description of this video right now, I asked Chris to add it. Yeah, it should be there. But if it's not there, I asked him to add it. But I just posted it here again for you. Also, if you guys just go to the website, healthyalternative.org, the link to the challenge will pop up. Oh yeah. So you do have to after you sign up, um probably starting tomorrow. Tomorrow's Friday. Probably starting tomorrow, emails will start going out to join the private server. So yes, I apologize. I think I misunderstood that question. All right. Dolly, you have a good night as well. We're wrapping up. Thank you all for being here. I really hope that you got some information. I hope that you also screenshotted this information as well, so that way you have it, and you can utilize it. If you join the challenge and this is what you intend to do, and if you have a question, reach out. I am here to assist you. I want you to do well. And there are things that I have found that have helped many people. I've worked with a lot of people, honestly. I've had a lot of people that do great things. I've had a lot of people struggle. I've had people that have done nothing. And this is something that I've recently started doing with myself and a few other people, and they have had a lot of success. Try it. Anyway, that's all I got for you today. Once again, thank you for being here. And I hope it was worth your time. And with that, I love you all. I'll see you in the challenge. Peace.